Protect mental health, be the self-starter. Series 4. COVID-19, Beating the Path to Recovery in Mental Health. Episode 2. Stress and Challenges on the Road to Recovery. When we are heading towards normalcy after 3 years of COVID-19 pandemic, we should be excited and full of hope. Unfortunately, on the road to recovery, we have seen a lot of depressing news about people feeling hopeless, stressful, with the increased rate of youth suicides. In this episode, we discuss the interplay of various factors that impact on one's mental well-being. What is stress? Why do people react differently in facing the same stressful event? Some people feel nothing while some react with overwhelming emotions. We can try to understand what stress is. From a psychological perspective, stress is a psychological response to the changes in our living environment. When we need to make changes or adjustments to meet the demands of the changing environment, it is naturally for us to experience tension or feel anxious. When we find it increasingly difficult to adapt to the changing demands, sense the threat to our self-esteem and feel helplessness, a chain of physical and psychological reactions, known as the stress response, occur. Some physiological responses include rapid heartbeat, sweating, and trembling of hands and feet. Psychological responses include feeling anxious and panic. Persistent high emotional arousal. What is the impact on our performance and efficiency of work or study when we are in a state of high emotional arousal for a long time? What impact will it have on our mental health? Will it induce mental illness? According to the psychological concept, Yerkes-Dodson law and performance, proposed by two psychologists, Yerkes and Dodson in 1908, we perform best when we are at the intermediate level of arousal or stress. Too much or too little arousal results in poor performance. Prolonged high stress and arousal can cause emotional distress, burnout, and may lead to psychiatric disorders. Internal and external factors, pull and push. On the road to recovery, the interplay of internal and external factors, persistent high emotional arousal and stress can drive one to the peak of performance but can also trigger emotional distress if we are not careful. Internal factors refer to one's personality, physical and mental state, adaptability and learning motivation. External factors refer to the extent of favorable support at work, school and home. Vitality versus burnout. What makes one stand strong or vulnerable at the time of crisis? I attempt to look at the interplay of internal and external factors and reflect on how we position ourselves at the time of challenge to find the answer. Vitality. Vitality is a state of being strong and active, with energy. How can we achieve this? State 1, like a fish in water. At the time of challenge over the past 3 years, if we have learnt to adapt, expand our comfort zone and develop our coping strategies in stress management in the presence of favorable support at work, family or school, we are more likely to perform as if we were a fish in water. State 2, recuperation. Under the challenges of critical life events such as illness, financial difficulty, loss of loved ones, we feel anxious and disturbed. The presence of social support from family members, colleagues, and friends can make a great difference. Their support creates space for us to adjust our body and mind to get out of the predicament. State 3, self-improvement. When we have strong intrinsic motivation, with clear goals and determination to surmount challenges, we are more likely to overcome the difficulties we are experiencing, even in the lack of external support. State 4, calm and hopeful. There is nothing worse than being in a vulnerable state and in the absence of external support. When we hold faith with hope that this critical situation is temporal, not permanent, and not to give up, we will have a chance to stand firm and get out of the predicament. Burnout. Burnout is a state of complete mental, physical, and emotional exhaustion. One may no longer care about things that are important to them or experience an increasing sense of hopelessness. Taking another perspective in looking at the interplay between internal and external factors, it is not difficult to understand why one ends up in burnout. State 1. A perfectionist in painful agitation. While it sounds great to have strong intrinsic motivation and willpower to excel, coupled with favorable extrinsic rewards, if not careful, we may lose ourselves to keep meeting high expectations in self and from others. In a constant state of high emotional alertness with negligence in our own physical, mental, psychological and social needs, we may suffer from burnout without notice. State 2. Being a burden to others. When we are vulnerable, getting timely support will give us space for recuperation. However, the fear of being a burden to others or feeling ashamed will aggravate the situation. State 3. A lonely fighter. In facing the uncertainty of the future prospects, such as the worsening conditions in health, finance, relationships in self or closed ones, it is nerve-wracking. Even if we have strong will and maintain a positive outlook, in a prolonged state of being a lonely fighter, it is likely to fall into the trap of burnout. State 4. An empty being. When we are experiencing extreme hardship, and in the absence of support from outside, this will make us feel helpless, hopeless, and lonely that can easily lead to emotional problems. Pause and think. Under the prolonged challenge of COVID-19 pandemic and on the road to normalcy, we need to learn from past experiences in managing disruptions in life and to develop new knowledge and skills in living through various challenges. It is important to assess the situation objectively from multiple perspectives. Let's pause and think. Which state am I in now? Do I need help? Author, Dr. S.B. Chan, Doctor of Psychotherapy and Counselling, the University of Edinburgh, UK. Master of Science in Mental Health, the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Master of Science in Psychiatry, Cardiff University, UK. The 3rd of November 2023.